Spencer's Mansion is the main location where the bulk of the content takes place in Resident Evil 1. Resident Evil 1 is definitely more of a puzzle game than it is a horror game, but even as old as it is, it puts almost all of the new entries to shame with its level design, in my opinion. The levels, puzzles, and rooms interact with each other so well, and the game really rewards learning the map. For example, there's this scene as Chris where when you enter the office for the first time, you hear Rebecca Chambers screaming in a room above, and if you're fast, you can save her, but if not, she dies. It's this concept of the game's level design and how much you've learned the level and the map having a direct outcome on the game's story is such a fantastic way of incentivizing us to really learn the layout of the mansion and the map of the game. I've been playing every mainline Resident Evil game in preparation for 9 next year. Not in order, purely picking on which game I thought I'd vibe with best, and this game was the last only behind Resident Evil 6. I didn't think I'd like this game at all with the tank controls or the clunkiness. I could not have been more wrong. I loved this game, and I'm more talking about the remake than the original. I've actually not played the original. I know the remake gets a lot of shit, but I really enjoyed it. I played as Chris in my first playthrough, which I didn't record at all because obviously I didn't think I'd like the game. But now replaying as Jill, it's been super nice to see the way they make the characters feel different and gives you different tools to work with based on your choice. Jill is definitely the easier character of the two, but they both have their own benefits. Chris has less inventory slots, but more health. Jill is a little bit faster and has some more inventory slots. I really liked how, in this game compared to other Resident Evil games, the quality is consistent throughout. Where in some of the newer games in the series, which while I like them a lot, Resident Evil 2 is my favorite only behind 4. The quality of the level design in the game itself does drop after you leave the main area. Thinking of the RPD or village after you finished Castle Dimitrescu and House Benevito, the games do get a little bit worse. They're still pretty good, but they are definitely worse. I didn't really feel that at all in 1. Sure, there are some parts that aren't as great, like the shark section. I felt the puzzle was a little bit unintuitive, but the quality on a general level holds way better than some of these other games in the series. I think maybe you can argue that 4 holds all the way through, but that's going to be its own video one day, so. It's also very much appreciated that the games don't hold your hands like they do. A little bit even in 2, if I'm being honest, where the games will just give you a note to do the thing, and doing the thing basically meaning a safe code or a note that tells you the combination for a lock, and would pretty much solve the puzzle for you. This game kind of respects your intelligence a little bit more, and doesn't make everything so free. A good example being the portrait puzzle, where the riddle tells you, bring the light of truth to the free spirits. And you can play around with the lights and you won't make much progress, but eventually you'll come back to the portrait at the front and you'll see there is 3 different colored pieces of jewelry on the lady in the picture. And it's nothing too challenging, but it will show you the 3 colors that you need to make the portraits to finish that puzzle. And it's a level of interactivity that the other games I don't think have to the same level. It's a really nice thing of interacting with the world instead of just providing us a solution. I'm not the biggest lover of the tank controls or the camera angles, but they're not nearly as bad as I thought they would be. And the game has a certain type of charm that I think's been a little lost in the more recent entries. As someone who got into Resident Evil as a series with the 2 remake, this game honestly feels a little cozy, which maybe isn't the right vibe for a zombie game, but that's just the chord it struck. I felt a sense of gleeful curiosity exploring the mansion instead of the urgency the RPD gave me, for example, and it was quite nice to just kind of take a break and go at my own pace. I think that the door opening animation did get a little old eventually, and if you're someone who struggles with patience, I'm not sure if there's a mod for this, but maybe install a mod to skip the animation. It does add its own charm. It was tolerable to me because I was actually streaming this in Discord with some friends when I was playing it, and we had this little mini game where we would guess which way the door would open, and it just added this interactivity, and it was kind of funny. But I can see if you're playing this alone and super seriously, then it might get a little stale seeing that every time. The story is also kind of bad, to be honest, but it does have its own charm. I was playing as the Resident Evil 5 model of Chris, and his voice does not fit his character at all in this game. And it actually, I think it made me enjoy the story more because it was just such a mess. And I think if I took the story seriously, then I don't know if I'd have liked it too much because it's not great writing, to be honest, but I liked it. I don't know, this is kind of a short video. I never really intended to make anything on Resident Evil 1, to be honest. I didn't think I'd like it. But the point of this video is more to say, if you're someone who likes Resident Evil and you've put off playing this game because it looks clunky and a little bit messy, to be honest, it is clunky and a little bit messy, but it really surprised me how much I enjoyed this game, to the point that it's at the very top of the list in the games that I've played in the series so far. But yeah, anyway, thank you for watching. I guess if you want to see something a bit more detailed, I have a video about Resident Evil 2's RPD. I'm also working on something about Resident Evil 4 and Ashley, but that's a while away yet. There's some other stuff on the way first. But anyway, yeah, play the game, bye.